I'm calling this little dog Sweetie. I just came up with that name just now. Most of the dogs here have no names because they die of starvation or from the road out there. And it's the stance of the humans who live here. Don't get to know them. Don't give them love. Don't give them food. The hardy ones will survive. And that's not my way of operating with dogs at all. No, I've been flooding them with love. And they're fighting less. Hurting each other a lot less, and I take them for walks in the big fields here, and every one of them seems to have hunting dog in them, and they have such a blast out there. So this one, I'm calling this one Sweetie because although she is very sweet with her puppy over there, who I'm calling Snoopy now, she is one mean bitch to the other dogs. Oh my God, including my dog Magic. But less so, and I'm reassuring her she doesn't have to be that way. That's not her real karma in life. So, that's an intro on that. Josue, this is actually Josue's dad, Leo. It's his auto shop out in the Los Troncones section on the outskirts of Victoria, Ciudad Victoria, Tamaulipas State, Mexico. And I'm wanting to do 1 or 2 videos about Camelot. Now, why would that be the case? This information is so complicated and multi-layered, I'm a little intimidated by it. But let's try. Camelot has been a big theme for me. I grew up when it came out in 1960. I had just graduated from elementary school. And as a high school student, I was influenced by lots of music. Earlier on, it was black-infused early rock and roll that saved my soul in my Irish Catholic working-class Chicago family. But in high school, I exposed myself more broadly to Broadway music. Like I am a romantic, and I guess I was even then. Such lush romantic music in Camelot. And it's been on my mind lately. A year ago when I was in Galveston, Texas, I've been traveling for 3 years. When I was in Galveston, Texas, I rediscovered that fabulous old music. And I do feel like Sir Lancelot, and my theme is C'est moi. C'est moi, c'est moi, I blush to disclose, I'm much too noble to lie. This mortal who these marvels can do. C'est moi, 'tis I. Well, you could say on one level I've had a pretty tragic life because after a stunning first part of my life, 20 years practice as a psychologist, and then 15 years quite illustrious management consultant, AT&T, at the height of its glory, really. In my early 40s, I had a perfect storm of terrible things hit me. Including the resurfacing of my sex abuse memories that blew me apart. I got diagnosed as clinically depressed, which was a huge mistake, and my most recent psychiatrist 3 years ago said, sorry, gee, we wouldn't have done that these days, although I think they still do it all the time, because psychiatrists don't understand trauma. So I spent 30 years hating myself, trained as a clinical psychologist, and when I got trained, we hated diagnoses. We were student radicals, and we fought the whole diagnosis thing. But in my many years of private practice, I had to give them to get insurance for people. Well, I got a diagnosis of clinical depression, which was devastating to me, and the drugs that I hoped would help with pain never helped much, just took the edge off enough so that I wouldn't release the trauma and never healed. 30 years did not heal. It's going on 4 years ago, June 26th of 2019, I had a huge spiritual experience, turned everything over to God, having hit bottom as completely as I ever had, and snapped and got fine, got great. It was like I had been shot out of a slingshot. Happy. I've not had a genuinely unhappy day in almost 4 years. And changed my life quite dramatically when the COVID hit. A friend invited me out to the mountains. I went out to the mountains and never went back to our enchanted kind of Camelot city of Asheville, North Carolina. And my vision in my 3 years on the road has been Lone Ranger. Who was that masked man? I never had a chance to thank him. Because I ride around and help people. I'm happy all the time. I had dallied with the notion that I got enlightened. I don't like that much. One definition of enlightened from the book, I don't know, a popular book, was unreasonable happiness, and I have that. Happiness for no reason, just all the time. So I'm trying to give back, trying to help other people wake up and remember who they really are, which is one with God. And that's what I experience. One with God. It's 5 minutes. So in this compound where I am right now, I've been thinking, this morning I found myself singing 2 songs from Camelot, because my vision is that a very stressed out, full of pain family, very poor, just barely hanging on, real genuine Mexican peasants, and dogs who are in such bad shape. I've been trying to return it to Camelot. I have. The Camelot term just came up, I guess, this morning, but I've been trying to heal the dogs, and they are healing, and they're treating each other much better, and they hang out around me desperately, and I feed them on the sly. But, I guess the norm here is you throw them some scraps every once in a while, so I've been doing a lot of that, because they're wasting away. And my hosts convince themselves, no, I don't really think they're hungry. No, they're hungry. They smell kibble, dry cereal in our car, and they're desperate to get in the car. So they're hungry. So my vision is that if I love them enough and discipline them when they try to hurt each other, well, it's happening. It's happening. So I dug back into Camelot. I was digging into Camelot online. And I saw that there's a modern revival of it on Broadway, and Aaron Sorkin, who rewrote it for the modern age, for us humans who are so in a society that's so broken and so in need of healing. They had the vision that the Camelot myth could help, and I bet it is helping. And I saw in the New York Times that Aaron Sorkin, when he was rewriting this, was battling a stroke. Well, I've also battled strokes. When I moved into the subsidized seniors building in Asheville, North Carolina, 3 years before waking up, I hated it, and within a month had a stroke, and I know it was stress. But it was a bad stroke. I was in the hospital for 3 days, for 24 hours. I had no idea where I was or what was going on. And then, in the summer of 21, I spent the entire summer in Louisville, Kentucky, pitching to my grown son, who's decided with his mom that I ruined their lives when I left her 40 years ago. And I so desperately needed to. We were not good for each other, but he lives right near her. And although he adored me as a teenager, by his late teens, he's living a mile away from her. She sits for his kids. And I was a long-distance parent. So that's, in my summer of 21 in Louisville, I really faced how awfully painful that was for him to have his dad not come home. So we're at 9 minutes. 9 minutes. I'm not going to try to do anymore here. It's going to be 2 installments. But I also have battled strokes. I had 3 more in Louisville that summer of trying to pitch to my son and honestly, I've got a diversity background in so many different layers, and I was trying to heal Louisville, Kentucky, the polarization between the races, which was so insane, white fragility. The whites so afraid of blacks who were genuinely and appropriately angry after Breonna Taylor's murder. I'll talk some about my attempts to bring healing to Louisville, but I stressed myself out too much with those 2 things, and in the month of July I had 3 strokes. The last one very bad, And I learned from that. You can't push. Don't push so hard. Back off a little. Okay.